For 11 months, I was the supportive husband. I'd help my wife, Chloe, pack her bags for her monthly girls' trips, wave goodbye, and tell her to have a great time with her friends. And for 11 months, I was a complete and utter fool. I kept telling myself that the knot in my stomach was just me being overprotective, that the little things that didn't add up were just my own bad memory. But I was wrong. It wasn't my memory failing. It was a lie. A massive, tangled web of deception she'd been spinning for almost a year. And the whole thing came crashing down because of one single piece of paper she forgot in a jeans pocket. One receipt. That's all it took to unravel everything. From the outside, you'd think our life was perfect. We'd been married 7 years, had a nice house in the suburbs, and I thought we had this deep, unshakable trust. So when Chloe first mentioned wanting to do a monthly girls' trip, I was all for it. She was a high school teacher and said the stress was really getting to her. She and her 2 best friends from work, Sarah and Jessica, decided a weekend away each month would be their new self-care. A way to just decompress and come back refreshed. It made sense. I wanted her to be happy. So that first weekend, I helped her carry her bags to the car. "Have fun, honey, don't worry about anything here." She'd smile, give me a kiss, and promise to call. And she always did. She'd send pictures of cocktails by a lake, selfies with her friends, and texts about their silly conversations. It all looked so innocent. But after the 3rd or 4th trip, this quiet little unease started to creep in. It was nothing I could really put my finger on, just small things. She'd say they were at a quiet cabin in the mountains, but then a picture she sent would have a beach in the background. When I'd ask, she'd just laugh it off. "Oh, that was an old picture I found. The cabin was so rustic we barely had a signal." It always sounded plausible, just believable enough to make me feel like a jerk for even questioning it. The trips kept happening once a month, like clockwork. The 11th trip was a supposed yoga retreat a couple of hours north of the city. She packed her bags, kissed me goodbye, and drove off, same as always. Except this time, she left something behind. It was just a normal laundry day. As I was emptying the pockets of her jeans from the week before, my fingers brushed up against a crumpled piece of paper. A receipt. I almost tossed it, but something made me stop and unfold it. It was from a restaurant called the Gilded Spoon. Never heard of it. I glanced at the date. It was from the Saturday of her last girls' trip, the supposed winery weekend. But the address wasn't in wine country. It was from a city 3 hours in the complete opposite direction. My heart started thumping. Then I saw the items. A bottle of pricey champagne. Oysters, 2 orders of filet mignon. The bill was over $400. This didn't feel like a casual dinner with girlfriends. It felt like a romantic celebration for 2. I just stood there in the laundry room, the washer humming in the background, as this cold dread just washed over me. This wasn't a girls' dinner. This wasn't a winery. This was something else. I tried to make it make sense. Maybe her friends surprised her. Maybe they took a road trip to another city for fun, but that nagging feeling I'd been pushing down for months was now screaming at me. This receipt wasn't a mistake. It was a clue. And it was the first thread of a story I suddenly had to unravel, right now. I couldn't sleep that night. I went downstairs, fired up my laptop, and logged into our joint credit card account. She always made a point of using our shared account for her trips, framing it as a sign of our partnership. Now, that account felt less like a partnership and more like a crime scene. I know it sounds cold, almost clinical, but I started a spreadsheet. It was the only way I could get my head around what I was seeing. I made columns, trip number, claimed destination, dates. Then I started digging. Trip 1, spa weekend. The hotel charge was there, sure, but so was a gas station purchase from a town 200 miles off her supposed route. Trip 4, hiking trip. The credit card statement showed charges for 2 tickets to a concert in the city on the exact same night. She was supposedly sleeping in a tent. I was up for hours, documenting every little thing. A clear pattern started to emerge. Every single girls' trip had a shadow set of expenses in a completely different place. There were charges at more romantic restaurants like the Gilded Spoon. There were stays at boutique hotels that were way different from the budget-friendly spots she'd told me about. She'd say she was going north, but the receipts showed her going south. She'd claim to be with friends, but the charges were almost always for 2 people. Then I checked our shared phone plan. We had location sharing turned on, for safety. I scrolled back month by month, and there it was. During every single trip, her location service was turned off for hours, sometimes the entire weekend. Then, like magic, it would pop back on Sunday afternoon, usually on the highway heading home. A phone can die, a signal can be lost, I get that. But for it to happen every single time, that wasn't a coincidence. That was intentional. The money trail painted a damning picture, but it didn't give me a face. Who was she having these dinners with? Who was in these hotel rooms? The answer, it turns out, was hiding in plain sight. I did a quick social media search for the Gilded Spoon. Tagged in a few photos at the restaurant around the same date was a man named Mark, someone from her school district's admin office. My stomach just dropped. I remembered her mentioning him about a year ago. Mark is such a great mentor, she'd said. He's really helping me learn to navigate district politics. I clicked on his profile. Public. I scrolled through his feed, my hands shaking, and there it was. A post from 3 months back, a photo of a sunset over a lake. He decaptioned it, "Another perfect weekend getaway." The date matched her spa weekend. I kept scrolling. A picture of a concert ticket from 6 months ago. The band and date were a perfect match for the charges from her hiking trip. The receipts alone were damning, but when you laid them out next to his social media, the picture was undeniable. The secret dinners, the hidden hotels, the weekend trips, it all lined up. This wasn't just a lie, it was an entire double life. For 11 months, she had been using the life we built together to fund a secret relationship. The girls' trips were just the alibi, and her friends, Sarah and Jessica, they were either in on it or she had used them too. When she got back from that yoga retreat, I was ready. I didn't yell, I didn't scream. The red-hot anger had cooled into this heavy, solid certainty. She walked in the door, all smiles, talking about how rejuvenated she felt. "How was it?" I asked, my voice totally calm. "Oh, it was amazing, so peaceful, just what I needed." I let her get settled on the couch. Then I walked over and placed the spreadsheet on the coffee table. Then the receipts, one by one, like I was dealing cards. And finally, my phone, opened to Mark's social media page. Her smile just vanished. Her eyes flickered with confusion, which was quickly replaced by pure horror. She stared at the papers, her face going pale. "What is this?" she whispered, but we both knew she knew exactly what it was. "This," I said, my voice perfectly steady, "is the last 11 months of your life. The one you've been living behind my back." She tried to deny it at first. "I don't understand. Have you been tracking me? This is insane." Then she tried to flip it on me. "You're twisting things. These are just random charges. You're being paranoid." But her arguments just fell apart against the mountain of evidence. I pointed to the first receipt. "The Gilded Spoon, a $400 dinner for two in a city you claim you weren't in. Explain it." She couldn't. She just stammered, her eyes darting between the papers and my face, looking for an escape that wasn't there. When I pointed to the concert tickets that matched Mark's post, she finally broke. A sob just ripped out of her and the whole facade crumbled. She buried her face in her hands and the ugly truth came pouring out. It was him. It had been going on for nearly a year. The girls' trips were for them. Our money was their budget. CTA, *, have you ever had a gut feeling that something was wrong, only to find out you were right? Let me know your story in the comments below. And if this story is resonating with you, make sure to subscribe for more content that dives deep into the complexities of relationships and trust. In the end, what else was there to say? The trust that our entire marriage was built on had been systematically destroyed, one trip at a time. I filed for divorce the next week. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and every situation is different, but I presented all that documentation during the proceedings. In my case, the evidence of marital funds being spent on the affair was taken into consideration when it came time to divide our assets. For me, it was never about revenge. It was about a fair separation from a partnership that had been so completely violated. The very trips she took to escape our life ended up costing her in the end. As for Mark, he ended things with her almost as soon as I found out. I guess the thrill was in the secret, not the person. Her friends, Sarah and Jessica, swore they had no idea that Chloe had just used their names as a cover. Maybe that's true, maybe it is. I'll never really know. Our entire social circle just kind of dissolved, fractured by the whole mess. It all started with a gut feeling and ended with a stack of receipts on a coffee table. It's a harsh lesson that the truth, no matter how well you think you've buried it, always finds its way to the surface. Sometimes it's a weird text message, a suspicious phone call, or, in my case, a single forgotten piece of paper. Trust is such a fragile and precious thing, and it's so easily broken. But a paper trail? A paper trail can be forever.